Save $1.30 on Purdue fresh chicken leg quarters, only $1.59 per pound. Fresh blueberries, 1 pint, just $3.99, saving you $3. Hellman's mayonnaise, hot price, just $5.99 for a 30-ounce jar. General Mills Cheerios cereal, only $5.49 for a 12-ounce box. Save $2.66 on Ocean Spray cranberry juice, only $4.99 for a 64-ounce bottle. Visit our website at www.marketplace.pm for more weekly specials.
You can count on us.
You're watching Bermuda Tonight. It's Thursday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm Jasmine Patterson, and thanks for joining us. It was just shy of a month ago that an overseas advertisement for a $135,000 position with the Bermuda Police Service, that position, head of professional standards, is only now being advertised locally, while Police Commissioner Stephen Corbishley is reportedly currently in the UK conducting interviews for the post. Gary Moreno tried to find out from National Security Minister Wayne Keynes why was this being allowed, especially since the situation is said to have caused some angst among the ranks of the BPS.
When this was brought to my attention, I had a conversation with the Commissioner of Police. I shared with him that we have people in Bermuda that should be given the opportunity to apply for this job. I shared with him that it was in the best interest of all involved to allow this matter to be in the public domain and for this post to be advertised in Bermuda. And as you can see, the post was indeed advertised in Bermuda.
But weeks after it was advertised overseas, Minister?
In my opinion, there was a failing with not advertising this locally in tandem with it being advertised abroad. We have highlighted that fact to the Commissioner of Police, and he has acquiesced. The matter will be advertised locally. We believe that the Bermudian applicants and the overseas applicants will be given the same consideration as it comes for that post.
But this is being viewed in some quarters as just a token advertisement, because we are being made to understand the Commissioner is, as we speak, over in England conducting interviews for the post.
At the end of the day, we have the opportunity to have Bermudians that are rightfully qualified. Gary, not only am I the Minister of National Security, I'm also the Minister of Immigration. I'm quite concerned about Bermudians being given the opportunity to advance, qualified Bermudians to be given the opportunity. So I have to, when I see it in my ministry, hold those to account who fall below that standard. I think this is an excellent example where I practice what I preach. I highlighted a problem in my ministry. I spoke with the department of head, and in conjunction with my views, my findings, I have asked him to advertise this post locally. It will be advertised locally, and it is being advertised locally. Now, I will pay close attention to the process without interfering at all. But I believe that with the right civil servant looking into this matter, that we will have the opportunity for the right Bermudian to be given an opportunity, or the right person, to be given an opportunity.
Can you confirm or deny that the Commissioner is actually overseas conducting interviews?
I do not know.
So the Commissioner doesn't communicate with you on a daily basis? The
Commissioner shares with me that he's abroad on business. He's overseas on a number of matters. I cannot speak to specifically if he's interviewing for people for that post. I do know that the interviewing process for this post was due to commence. I'm not sure the parameters around that.
Okay, but shouldn't the Commissioner, Mr. Corbishley, be aware of the dictates of advertising for jobs in Bermuda, actually first on island, and if no suitable candidate is found, then advertising overseas?
With the greatest respect, I think this is something that, as the Minister, we see one of the challenges we see on a regular basis. At the immediate time when it came to my attention, I put the processes in place where the situation was regularized. I cannot speak to what he should have known. We believe this fell underneath the standard that we require, and we made sure that the situation was regularized.
How would you feel if a British officer were appointed to that position and someone who, in fact, may be known to Mr. Corbishley?
Gary, you're doing hypothetics, and I don't deal in hypothetics.
Okay, sir, but how would you feel if a non-Bermudian, in fact, were named to this role?
We're not doing anything based on feelings. What I believe that this process will be transparent, and before, during, and after process, it is improper for me to embed myself into that decision-making process.
Thank you very much, Minister.
And while the minister stated he was unaware whether the Commissioner was conducting interviews in the UK, here's what the Bermuda Police Service told us. A BPS spokesman in response to our queries told us the commissioner is currently in the UK to conduct interviews with potential candidates after receiving 24 applications for the post, that of course being the head of professional standards. The spokesman added the commissioner of police is committed to finding the best candidate with the right skill sets for the role of head of professional standards. According to a BPS spokesman, this specialist role is subject to specialist training. Thus, a candidate who has performed similar duties in a law enforcement organization would be ideal, as the successful candidate will be responsible for training a senior Bermuda Police Service officer to take over the role in 12 months. The spokesman explained a decision was taken to re-advertise the position in the Royal Gazette following initial advertisement via the Bermuda Police Service website. We, however, first saw the ad on the Police Oracle website. It has since been removed. This ad in the Royal Gazette will run until the end of the week, Friday, February 15th, to ensure all potential candidates with the requisite skills in Bermuda have the opportunity to apply. Further, upon closure of the Royal Gazette advert, suitable local applicants will be invited for interview, subject to them meeting the relevant role requirements. The island's economic progress has gone backwards, and the only way to turn things around is for the country to welcome wealthy foreigners to our shores. Well, that's the view of former Premier Sir John Swan, who has repeated this call. Sir John brought up the subject during a recent interview alongside Dame Jennifer Smith on Black History Month celebrations.
There has been a capital depletion in the black community, which worries me to no end. I mean, no sense talking about black history about always the past. The contemporary black history is we've seen a slowdown in the Bermuda market. We've seen blacks who had things, middle-class black Bermuda, and middle-class white Bermuda, by the way, being tremendously adversely affected by the economic environment we're in right now. And people can't pay the bills. They can't pay they retire, and they're almost sort of like they're impoverished because they can't buy the medicine and things of this type. Sometimes you got to almost think that you're going backwards to go forward. We don't have the listing power ourselves. The black community doesn't have it, and the white Bermudian community doesn't have it. And those people who do have it are either as Mr. Stubbs said, there's a lot of it, money has been taken out. We need to get money back in, and we don't get money back in if people with money come to Bermuda, feel comfortable, and feel as though they can be a part of the process that's taking place.
You know, let me just say this. There are at least 2 generations behind me, and there are Bermudians doing wonderful things all over the world. So when I look for people who should return to Bermuda, I would look for Bermudians who could come back here and contribute to this society. And since history is just yesterday away, there are Bermudians everywhere doing wonderful things. We need as much as possible. Some of them are better placed where they are. But if it's something that relates to Bermuda, if it's finance or whatever, they can come back and give Bermuda, or at least visit.
Dame Jennifer Smith and Sir John Swan speaking there with our Tarai Trot. And we'll have more for you after this short break, including all the latest weather news. Stay with us.
At Argus, our interest is you. Each of you. Around here, we know that when 2 people seem the same, they can have very different insurance needs. For their health, home, work, and future. Which is why we take the time to get to know you as an individual, so we can provide insurance coverage that fits your life. Because after all, our interest is you.
You can count on us.
Potatoes, all varieties, $3.99 for a 5-pound bag. Fresh ground beef, all size packages, just $2.99 per pound, saving $1. Hot price old time split top wheat bread, only $3.99 for a 22-ounce loaf. Select varieties of Arm & Hammer laundry detergent, just $9.99 for a 75-ounce bottle. Huggies pull-ups, all sizes for boys and girls, only $14.99. All stores open Monday through Saturday until 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
Toyota commercial vehicles from Bermuda Motors are the smart business choice. They're fuel efficient, durable, and provide exceptional performance. Bermuda Motors maintains an inventory of Toyota genuine parts and has Toyota factory-trained technicians. So don't risk buying a second-hand or gray market truck from someone you don't know. Whether you run a large fleet or single commercial vehicle, choose Toyota from Bermuda Motors, the smart business choice.
Thanks for staying with us. A visiting Canadian expert on medical marijuana says unlike other drugs, cannabis poses virtually no risk to those taking it and without harmful side effects. Dr. Mark Ware, who grew up in Jamaica and now resides in Canada, where he works with a leading medical marijuana producer, told us there is a lot of misconception over the substance. Government has announced it will make medical cannabis legal, and Dr. Ware says his presentation on the substance will be aimed at clearing up misconceptions.
Dr. Mark Ware, thanks for chatting with us. You're an associate professor at McGill University and the chief medical officer for Canopy Growth Company. Now, you're due to be on the island very soon to give a presentation on medical marijuana. When you get here, what will be your main message?
I think I'll have two main messages, Tarai. And the main message is one of credibility and research. Medical cannabis is something that is extremely misunderstood by many people. Both in terms of its potential risks, but also in terms of the potential benefits. There are very wide positions of opinion on whether cannabis is helpful or harmful. My aim will be to inform people of the balance between these two things, but also to stimulate research that may be and will be very necessary to fill some of the gaps that we have in our knowledge about cannabis.
As you're aware, the Bermuda government has announced it will legalize medical marijuana soon. Now, for those of us who haven't had medical marijuana, will it offer any real benefit over traditional pharmaceutical drugs?
Well, that's a very important question. And I think that speaks to the two questions that we'll be looking to address. One is, what do we know already about cannabis and its benefits and risks? And what is it that we still need to know? And I think your question raises both of these very nicely. Cannabis, it's important to realize, is not one substance. It's not a single entity. It's a plant that contains hundreds of chemicals, some of which have been quite well studied. THC, for instance, tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the psychoactive ingredient that makes cannabis its euphoric effects, and which is one of the reasons people use it for its recreational purposes, has very powerful medicinal properties in terms of pain relief, treatment of nausea, stimulation of appetite, and so on. And there are prescription medicines already based on THC.
When we think about medical marijuana, some of us automatically think about the smoking of marijuana cigarettes. But surely that's not the extent of it.
Absolutely right. That's the sort of classical and perhaps the old school way of people ingesting cannabis for recreational purposes. But we know in Canada, over the last 5 years, with a medical cannabis program that's been evolving here legally, there has been tremendous interest in using cannabis in other forms. So you can take the flower and you can extract from the flower the oils of cannabis. The ingredients that I was mentioning earlier, THC, CBD, come out of the flower in the form of an oil. And this can be put into drops. It can be put into syringes and administered into the mouth.
Dr. Ware's Canopy Growth Company is a world-leading diversified cannabis and hemp company, offering distinct brands and curated cannabis varieties in dried, oil, and soft gel capsule forms. If you'd like to hear his presentation at the Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute beginning next week, you should book your seat by calling 292-7219. That's 292-7219. Welcome news that the Department of Public Transportation and the Bermuda Industrial Union have reached an agreement on the new bus operators' rosters. Mike Sharp has more.
How much of a step forward is this agreement? DPT and BIU representatives have agreed on a definition of night work and will enter into a memorandum of understanding to provide assurance and clarity for bus operators and management. But MOUs are not legally binding. The deputy opposition leader, Leah Scott, while praising the DPT and BIU, says there are still concerns.
Well, there's been some movement, but, it's a bit of semantics here because we're in the process of getting, the roster has been, I guess, agreed, or there's an agreement to have the roster, but it's still not been implemented yet. And it's concerning that one of the reasons that the roster was not put in place was because I believe bus drivers were being required to work nights and then work mornings after they had worked nights, which is not safe either for the bus driver or for the general public who are riding the buses. And I'm sure you're aware, Mike, that and I'm sure you're well-traveled, that when you fly, pilots have to have a certain amount of rest time, and if they don't have that rest time, they can't fly the plane.
The Shadow Transport Minister added that management must work close with bus operators.
There appear to be maybe some management issues. Maybe management isn't listening to the bus operators who actually function and drive the buses. And I've made this point before. The people that are actually driving the buses are the best ones to provide the input to management. And I'm not sure that they're being listened to. We don't have an implementation date. So when is that going to be? It's almost March now. They said they would have a date by the 7th of January.
BIU President Chris Ferber did return our call, but we were unable to obtain any comment from him on this latest agreement on bus rosters. I'm Mike Sharp with Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Weather now, and strong winds, cloudy and wet conditions will linger in the area at least until tomorrow afternoon. But let's check in with the AccuWeather headquarters for the full picture.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
Good evening. Your forecast is brought to you by the BF&M Insurance Group. I'm your AccuWeather meteorologist, Dajia Swad. As we continue into your satellite here, noticing that moisture still coming into Bermuda. This is due to a front. So that front extends across the Atlantic all the way down into the Bahamas as well as into Cuba. It'll continue to press its way to the east. As it does so, we'll begin to stall on out a tad bit. And as it stalls out here tonight, another wave of low pressure begins to develop, and that will bring another chance for some heavier downpours into tonight and into your Friday morning. Now, as we continue into your current conditions, currently sitting at 63 degrees. Earlier today, before that front passed on through, we were in the lower 70s, so bringing some cooler air behind that front. Humidity at 72%, winds out of the northeast 8 to 12 knots, and we're looking at waves in the reef 1 to 3 feet, waves out 5 to 8. We continue into your upcoming tides. Our next low tide at 9:41 p.m. tonight. High tide following at 4:16 a.m. for your Friday morning, and we'll be looking at another low tide 10:54 a.m. tomorrow morning, followed by a high tide at 4:34 p.m. Friday evening. We are looking at a small craft warning through this evening into your Friday afternoon. Keep in mind, will be some dangerous boating conditions. That's why we have that small craft warning in effect. Now, for your Thursday, 8 p.m., here's what we're looking at. That front will continue to bring wet conditions across the Atlantic, including us here in Bermuda. Low pressure develops, and that will ride along the front. That will bring our next real big batch of heavy downpours into your Friday morning. So Friday at 7 a.m., if you're getting up early, usually take a run or any outdoor activities, you will need that umbrella. We do have to keep an eye out for some localized flooding concerns across the island. Into your Friday night, that moisture will continue to press on its way out to the east. We'll get some drier air trying to move on through, but it's close enough that we'll still be looking at some wet conditions into tomorrow morning, and once again even into your Saturday. Tonight you're cooling down to 59 degrees, breezy out there with rain coming on down. Once again, rain continues into your Friday, topping off at 69 and a low of 64 for tomorrow. Periods of rain will continue to ease on out for your extended forecast. Current conditions across the rest of the Caribbean. That front also bringing some wet weather in towards Jamaica, pulling in some moisture there. High of 81, 72 for your low in Jamaica. 90 out towards Trinidad under the influence of some easterly trade winds that will continue to pick back up into this weekend and early next week. Now, if you're getting away to Toronto, 36 for the high, feeling like winter with a low of 19. Lots of clouds. New York getting in some wet weather with a high of 52 and a low 32 for your Friday. Boston also seeing a warm up ahead of a front, but looking at wet weather due to that front, in Atlanta topping off in the lower 60s. We head into our extended forecast. Tomorrow, wet, drying out a tad bit more into your Saturday.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
We provide education, early detection, radiation treatment, and support for cancer to all.
We provide in-home care, financial assistance, and emotional support to cancer patients and their families.
We provide financial support and enhanced quality of life for patients and their families in hospice care.
We will.
We will.
We will.
At the Bermuda Festival, there's something for everyone in 2019. From international acts, the Manhattan Transfer and Shaka Khan, to Bermudians Heather Nova and Rebecca Falkenberry. Our plays include A Midsummer Night's Dream, Masterclass, and Nina Simone for Women. There's music for all, jazz, rock, classical, and even a cappella. And with modern dance and family entertainment, the list is complete. For tickets, visit ptix or bermudafestival.org. Celebrating the empowerment of women. She is art.
The St. George's Corporation may be offered a different direction than the Corporation of Hamilton in terms of its management, according to its mayor. Gwinnell Francis today met with the Minister of Home Affairs to discuss the government's position on the municipality going forward.
It had its positive aspects and still some unknowns that are still out there. But the minister had assured us that the way he's trying to take St. George is different from the way he's trying to do City of Hamilton. So St. George is now being looked at on its own entirety rather than within the Municipalities Act. So that was good news to us in St. George because we've been fighting for that for some time. However, them absorbing the infrastructure will be sort of one of those things that we're glad to sort of get rid of, but we will need to make sure that the government is able to deliver on the things that they are now taking on when it comes to St. George. The focus now will be on the management of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and that's something that we've been lobbying the government, that the management of the UNESCO World Heritage Site needed a home and needs legislation and it needs funding in order for us to be able to move our town forward in the best way that we feel fit that it should be.
Meanwhile, Deputy Leader of the Opposition Leah Scott weighs in on the government's review on whether it will create quangos out of the two municipalities or incorporate them. Ms. Scott suggests the minister is already afforded powers under the Municipality Act without such action being taken.
How much power does the government want? So the truth of the matter is there's only one option on the table, and that option is that the municipalities be absorbed and government then takes over their administration. So Minister Rebane, in his news interview, said that the corporation's infrastructure was falling apart and crumbling, and it was clear that the corporations did not have the money to address the things that needed to be to look after their infrastructure, and that government has the necessary resources to do this. Well, if government has the necessary resources to do this, then why is government imposing taxes on Mr. and Mrs. Bermuda? You can't say that you've got the resources to develop and do things that you want to do with these two entities, but then say, oh, well, we don't have any money, so we've got to tax Mr. and Mrs. Bermuda.
Ms. Scott questions the government's motivation to interfere with the corporations.
The corporation was established to be an independent body, and they were given 145 acres of land, I believe. And so they own that property. Now, if the government takes over, then is the government going to absorb the property? You've got all the waterfront down there. You've got all kinds of property that the government would then have access to. So is that the real reason that they're trying to acquire the corporations? And I went on the website, I think it's called forumgov.bm, and most people are not in agreement with it either being a quango, which it essentially already is anyway, or by it being absorbed by the government. Now, they're going to have this consultation, and it's going to finish on the 22nd. If the consensus of Mr. and Mrs. Bermuda is that they do not want these things, either a quango or the government, to absorb it, are they going to listen?
And still to come, Earl Basden will have all the latest sports news in just a few minutes.
Hey, Smokey, let's get lunch from the Marketplace Food Court. You know what? That sounds good. They have oxtails, pumpkin, curried lamb, lemon chicken, sweet and sour ribs, vegetable stir-fry, and the variety goes on.
Their chefs are good. They'll set you right up. Avoid the good carbons.
And don't forget the special dishes from the islands.
That don't matter. Well, no matter what you feel like eating, Marketplace will have it.
You know, it's quick, it's quality, and at prices you can count on.
Visit us 7 days a week. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Made for you daily at the Hamilton Marketplace Food Court.
It's time to get back down to business. In the first season of The Breakdown, we helped you understand Bermuda's impact on the world.
The world's risk capital. It's going to be where the job is.
75% in Bermuda. And the world's impact on Bermuda.
It was like a trickle effect from the U.S.
We lost 17% of our labor force.
We tackled emerging technologies.
Digital currency brings a lot of efficiency.
Blockchains are blocks of information.
Examined key concerns.
Is this all about climate change?
8,500 people are diabetic based on
STEP survey.
And connected the community to the issues impacting their future.
I think it would be a positive for the island.
It's just a matter of economics.
And now we're back to do it again.
Join me, Tony Waterman, for a brand new season of The Breakdown starting Thursday, February 21st at 8 p.m. on ZBM TV 9.
Sport news now. Both the national cricket team and St. George's Cricket Club gained new head coaches, and young Bermuda footballer signs a contract with the UK club. Earl Basin has the details and much more in tonight's Sports Report.
President of the Bermuda Cricket Board, Lloyd Smith, at a press conference earlier today, made the announcement of the new Bermuda national senior team head coach.
On the recommendation from our high performance committee, the Bermuda Cricket Board's executive approved the hiring of Herbie Bascom. With our very busy schedule coming up and the tournaments that we have in our near future, was very prudent for us to get going and get Herbie Bascom hired as soon as possible. His appointments will be from March 1st of 2019.
Bascom is happy to be given the opportunity to fulfill this role.
What I really want to bring is the fact that I want to get our better players to be playing cricket in Bermuda. I want to be able to inspire the better cricketers and try to see if I can motivate cricket and the people around Bermuda to get more involved in cricket in Bermuda, because cricket is going to a level whereas the interest has been lost. And my experience with traveling with the national team to the World Cup, I want to use that experience to bring some energy back into it and get our better players who want to play for Bermuda and instill the pride back into the country.
During the Inside Sports Talk radio show earlier today, president of the St. George's Cricket Club, Neil Painter, revealed that former captain Wendell Smith has been named as the head coach of the senior team in the East End. But in doing so, Painter also had a message for former players.
Well, basically, with Wendell coming on board, we're looking for him to, bring his expertise to our club, and also to inspire the younger kids who want to come through. And one thing I've always said, St. George's have a lot of history when it comes to cricket players on our league team. The unfortunate side of it is that not a lot of them have put time back into the club. They are always welcome to come back to and assist St. George's Cricket Club. Very few have done that, and I say that very few. And I don't say that to put it out there, but it happens at a lot of clubs.
I just want to say that's
not just St. George's Cricket Club, where players come through the ranks, do well, are successful, and then you don't see them anymore for whatever reason. I think it's important that these players come back.
Kidderminster Harriers Football Club announced that another of its academy talents has signed a professional contract with the club after Milan Butterfield penned terms. The defending men's and ladies champions stay the course as the Bermuda National Squash Championships continued inside the Bermuda Squash Rackets Association Club last evening. The men's defending champion, Noah Brown, would defeat Devario Thompson 11-1, 11-3, 11-1 in the men's Open PSA division. While last year's runner-up, Michael Franklin, defeated Anaya Smith 11-1, 11-1, 11-4. In the women's Open PSA division, the women's defending champion, Rachel Barnes, defeated Joanne Bilby 11-2, 11-9, 11-6. Megan Jackson defeated Haley Moss 11-3, 11-2, 11-2. Peter Cooper would win his men's veteran match over Adam Hawley 11-7, 10-12, 11-2, 11-2, and Shannon Rose Robinson won her women's open plate match against Jennifer Bilby 11-7, 11-9, 11-6. Shaquille Dill and Robert Edwards were part of the National Power St. Augustine University track and field team that showcases talent and depth to win its 22nd straight CIAA Men's Indoor Track and Field Championships at the JDL Flat Track. Dill would win the 800-meter gold medal, clocking a winning time of 1:56.12, while Edwards clocked a time of 17:32.29, finishing 8th in the men's 5,000-meter run. Ashley Irby would win the women's 800-meter gold medal, competing in the USA Track and Field, New York, and New Jersey Indoor Track and Field Championships. Irby would clock a time of 2:20.27 during the 34 and under women's 800-meter run. Her time just missed out on the 2:19 flat Carifta Games standard qualifying time. Bermuda's Flora Duffy continued her road to recovery, preparing for the 2019 triathlon season. Duffy is training in South Africa, and she was able to compete in a local cycling criterium. A total of 13 men and ladies took to the course, with Duffy winning the ladies' race. In second spring senior bowling league action at the Work Lanes, it saw the Drifters go down 4-0 to the last minutes, while the Blue Angels fell 4-0 to the newcomers. The last Pins defeated Just Kicking 3-1, and the Pin Splitters went down 3-1 to the Islanders. I'm Earl Baisden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
And that's our program for tonight. I'm Jasmine Patterson. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Jasmine Patterson's wardrobe and makeup is provided by Gibbons Company.